can see, I'm headed out, but the smoke from the fires in the west is pretty ugly. Not off to an auspicious start, but the plan is to go to Maine. So I'm driving 2 weeks. I'm averaging about 250 miles as the crow flies each day, and for each day I'm going to stop and do either a run, bike, or swim. I took one day off in the middle to do laundry and grocery shopping and that sort of thing, but then I continued on across the country to Maine. Here's what that trip looked like. This is a trailhead at the North Fork of Catherine Creek in eastern Oregon, not too far from Baker City, kind of halfway between Baker City and La Grande. There's a trailhead here, and I'm going to run it for a little while. It's pretty clear this is a horse place, and it appears to be access to a wilderness area. Gravel road for the last several miles on the way in here. Hadn't expected that, so now everything's a mess. This is an overlook in Twin Falls, Idaho. You can see there's still a little smoke even from the fires in the west. There's a whole crowd of people here watching some guys base jumping. And a pretty big crowd in the park of people that apparently are base jumping. Okay, I rode my bike up this. It was tough. I'm still breathing hard. But can you imagine trying to jump this thing on a motorcycle? Holy cow.
Want me to bring my phone down there?
Oh yeah, divers in the water. you wear the life jackets, so there's no way to go down. This is Seminole State Park in Wyoming. This is one of the little offshoot camping areas. I didn't get to the main park. It was already a very rough road, and I'd gone as far as I wanted to. I saw this place. I think it'll suit my needs. I think I'm going to just run on the gravel road. I started out on that point, ran up the road over to here, and then cut across this road up here, which is probably not more than half a mile, right? Didn't take very long. And now I'm going to run out, see if I can get to the end of this point. Obviously the trail isn't real good, but hopefully it's at least doable. I'm out on the end of this point. My truck is in that upper area up there where the trees are. I ran up that road across all the way down this ridge to this little point I'm on. It's really pretty darn nice. Of course, I'm sending a check-in message to my kids. Angostura Reservoir, South Dakota. I'll swim across to the far shore and back. That's not much more than a half mile probably altogether. If that. The water felt kind of warm. The wetsuit's probably ridiculous, but do it anyway. It looks a little scummy, but there don't appear to be any health warnings, and the advisory against swimming was just due to shallow water and rocks and that sort of stuff. And there is a triathlon held here every year, so we should be good. There's only 3 boat trailers in the parking lot. Hopefully these guys are paying attention. They won't run me over. I think that's about the only risk here. Fairly nice beach, but the visibility was bad. I could reach the bottom before I could see it. Now I just need to head back. A boat just launched. Maybe I'll wait for him. Wait for him to go by. This trail is like 190 miles long, and I drove along most of it, and it's pretty much dead flat and straight ahead, next to the road. My dad was funny. He would have said, "Geez, kid, why would you ride that trail on a bike when you could drive the whole thing and see the exact same thing?" Under the circumstances, it would be very difficult to argue with him. One mile left on a 30-mile bike ride. I got a flat tire. So I'd really rather change it at the truck in the grass with a beer than out here on the trail. So I'm going to just walk the last mile. This is the trail from the Aquatic Center in Ames, Iowa to the largest garden gnome, the largest concrete garden gnome in the world, which is in Formal Gardens. And I'd kind of like to see the gardens, but the gnome is a fun goal. But I was concerned because this trail is paved and I essentially refuse to run on pavement for any distance at all. But like most of the things I've seen in the Midwest, central part of the country, whatever, they have wide margins, mowed verges, and I think it should be mostly runnable anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Another surprise for this run. It's been okay. I've been able to run on the grass for the most part, but it turns out it was clear through the center of the Iowa State University campus. I'm sure folks think I'm a pervert out chasing little co-eds. Well, this was a bust. This is Glasner Beach at Evergreen Lake, Illinois, and I had thought, I knew the beach was closed, but I thought, well, then you could swim in the lake, and the lake is, you know, most of these places, the swimming area is just fenced off from the lake. It's not a separate place. Well, this beach is completely fenced and enclosed and doesn't appear to extend into the lake. And to top it off, swimming in the lake is prohibited. So this whole thing ended up being a non-starter. So I guess I'm just going to get back in the car and see if I can find something on the way. There have been a lot of lakes and so forth, so I'm hoping that I can just find some place to swim today. This is the Clinton Lake Recreation Area in Illinois. It's a backup plan. The prior place didn't work out. I'm going to swim down to that point. I don't know if you can see the boat, but just past that. Looks like it might be, it's probably not a quarter mile, but good enough for who it's for. I didn't find any health advisories in this lake, so I think it's okay. Kind of a scummy lake.
but it feels okay. It's not terribly warm. Certainly not. Certainly warmer than the last place. The graph said it's 70 degrees, so the wetsuit is again a little unnecessary, but provides a nice safety cushion and insulation from the cold spots. So here we go. Alright, well, where I'm standing is nice. I'm about hip deep and standing on a sandy bottom. I thought it was going to be rocky, so it was fairly easy to get in here and stand up. Swim was good. It's kind of interesting, the top, about 3 feet of water, is really toasty warm, and my hands got cooled off because there was a thermocline or whatever down right at about wrist level when I reached down to swim. So that was fun. Kind of feels good. And you can see up there at the point. Probably can't see it, but there's a tree there is where I started. The wind came up a little bit. Just enough to be annoying. No big deal. But the timing was funny. Just as I got to the end, I turned around. Coming back into it. It's windy. Well, not windy. 6 knots or something.
So I'm not sure, I don't recall what the name of this trail is, but I started in Cedarville, Ohio. I'm headed northeast. As you can see, it's smooth, easy riding. I talked to a couple guys, they said the whole trail is paved. But I've never been someplace where the verge was mowed and the whole thing was so well maintained. This is really nice. Here's the old abandoned railroad bed converted to a trail next to the apparently active railroad bed. This is the Benninghoff Trail in Oil City State Park. I just walked past the location of the first commercial oil well in the country. This is the Girard hiking trail. You can see the yellow blaze that has been easy to follow. But I'm reminded that one of my observations, whether it's right or not, I'm not 100% sure, but the Appalachian Trail, it seemed like the trails were drawn with a ruler on a map. They just go straight up over every rock and obstacle, steepness, and so forth, where on the West Coast we use switchbacks and that sort of thing. And on this trail, it sure seems like the East Coast mindset for trails is cooking, because so far it's been kind of a steep son of a gun.
So ultimately, I'm kind of doing, it's 3.5 miles to a falls up here, so I thought I'd half run, half hike. Oh, crap. I thought the trail was going to run straight ahead, but no, it goes up that way. Here's me running in place. Here's me running forward. That was brutal. I missed an obvious signpost, ended up doing 9 miles, much of which was quite steep, and I pushed pretty hard. It took me 2 hours and 45 minutes. This is Verona Beach State Park on Lake Oneida, New York. I did a swim here. I didn't go very far. I forgot to take the camera, so I didn't have any sort of timepiece with me. But I might have gotten in half mile. But what was interesting about this is that you can see how brown the water is. It's really shallow. All the way out until it gets blue out there. So I walked out quite a long way. As you can see even here, I'm only in up to my knees. And so it was unique in that I swam along the contour just barely deeper than I could reach with my hands. So anytime I wanted to stop, I just stopped and stood up. It was quite sweet. And the visibility in the water isn't bad. It's a nice lake. There's hardly, I mean, I didn't see, other than a few golf balls, I didn't see any trash on the bottom at all. Okay, I also saw a little wildlife on this trip. This picture represents what was probably the highlight of the whole trip, and that's at one of the campgrounds. In one of the campsites, there were these 2 trees that were filled with thousands and thousands of bugs that are like fireflies. I never saw them actually flying, but they lit up the trees in an amazingly spectacular way. It was very, very cool. I've never seen anything like it. I was quite impressed. I also saw some agriculture. Miles and miles of agriculture. What do you think? Does that look like edamame in the raw? There are miles of these crops. Some sort of stunted corn. And what I think is soybeans.
So there you have it. It's my Tried Across America. Almost 4 full triathlons covering the country from Kelso, Washington to Sanford, Maine. I had a really good time with this. Thanks for watching.
I'm going home. I'm going home. Been a long time now and I'm going home.
This is the Odd Man, out.